Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Hello again and welcome to Thermal Imaging Systems. We've got a great presentation for you in store this morning with Tom Mathew. And with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Tom. At the end of the session, we will have a live Q&A where we've got Tom and others on the line to answer your questions. And you can post them either in the chat or the Q&A section. So any questions you have, we will be answering right after this. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Tom. Good morning, Tom.
Hello, and welcome to the Thermal Imaging for Body Temperature Screening webinar by FPE Automation. My name is Tom Mathew, and I am one of 9 application engineers here at FPE Automation. This is a part of FPE's Web Learning video series. Today, we'll be discussing FPE's high-precision body temperature screening camera system. The agenda for this webinar is to introduce the FPE body temperature screening system and discuss how it works. We'll briefly go over the specifications, and then talk about the hardware and basic installation of the system. Next, we will go over the software and see a demo that is set up at the FPE Automation Technology Center to see the system in action. And finally, we will end today with a live question and answer session. FPE Automation has been providing industrial automation solutions since 1963. Our product offerings include pneumatic products, automation controls, robots, and vision systems. We're a proud distributor for many sensor product lines that include laser measurement sensors, photo eyes, proxes, ultrasonic and pressure sensors, rotary encoders, RFID systems, barcode readers, and of course, vision systems. Even systems for robot guidance and bin picking. We are now very excited to introduce our latest in sensing technology, the FPE Body Temperature Screening System. This system is unique in many ways. It offers both a vision camera and a thermal imaging camera in one unit. Using both technologies, it can screen up to 16 people in 1 second. It's also very accurate and can give you temperature measurements within 0.54 degrees Fahrenheit. The system has multiple alarm options, from being able to set up a speaker or warning light directly to the hardware system, to also having warnings both visible and audible on a networked PC, where someone can be monitoring the images live remotely if they wanted to. You can also send emails for alarms as well. Alarms can be set for over temperature, where you can define the temperature range. You can even set an alarm for someone not wearing a mask. This is a new feature in the software, which is included in the package, and software updates are also included. The software is easy to use, it includes facial recognition, and you can even save images of over temperature conditions to a PC. What are some of the key differentiators that make this product unique? Well, having vision and thermal imaging in one unit creates some advantages. The FPE system can screen multiple people at once, up to 16 as previously mentioned. Other systems require measurements to be taken one person at a time. The FPE system can also take measurements while people are on the move. Other systems require the person to stop to take the measurement. This makes the process slow, can lead to long lines or crowding, things we probably want to avoid in these new times. It is also more difficult to trick a vision system because we are capturing images which can be saved and analyzed later. So, if you're using an automated IR system, you can lower your head, for example, to reduce the temperature reading. You could place something cold on your face right before the measurement. Things that might go undetected with the standard system could be captured by the FPE system. And as I mentioned before, the FPE system can even confirm if a face mask is on or not, which is another benefit of having the integrated optical system. The software is also capable of facial recognition. So you can create a library for individuals and even have a custom temperature range for each person. You can track individual temperature histories to see temperature rising over the course of a few days, for example. You can use this system as an added security measure, which can output a custom alarm for individuals not in the system that might walk through. You can enable or disable the facial recognition feature depending on your own company's policies. There are 3 main components to the system: the dual function camera, the black body, and the CMS software. The dual function camera has a built-in web interface, so you can plug your computer directly to the camera, open up Internet Explorer, and type in the camera IP address and log into the camera. Here you can configure the system and even display live video and temperatures. The camera integrates an optical camera with an IR camera, This allows for facial tracking and recognition and mapping temperatures to those identified faces. The black body is a heat source reference that is set at a specified temperature. For example, the default setting is 104 degrees Fahrenheit. The system uses this as a reference to calculate accurate temperatures to within 0.54 degrees Fahrenheit. The CMS software is included, but a Windows PC is not included with the system. The customer must provide their own PC, and it just needs to be a standard computer running Windows 8 or 10. However, if you are looking for an industrial solution, FPE Automation is a distributor for industrial PCs as well, so we can help you with that. The CMS software runs on the PC and offers visualization of both the optical and thermal videos. It includes event captures for different conditions and historical statistics such as temperature or alarms, and also offers the facial recognition features as well. We will look at the software and some of its features later in the presentation. Here are the specifications for the system, which can be found in the FPE temperature screening system brochure. I just want to touch on a few things. This is for indoor use only. The field of view has a detection distance of 10 to 16 feet, but 13 feet is recommended. There are two hardwired alarm outputs built into the system, and if you wanted to connect a stack light or a buzzer, for example, those alarm outputs are dry contacts, so you would just supply the power, which would then activate the stack light or buzzer when the contacts closed on alarm condition. The camera operates on 12 volts DC, but the power adapter is included, so you just plug that into a standard 120 volt AC wall outlet. You also plug in the black body into a standard outlet as well. The hardware included with the system is essentially the camera wall mount, the black body ceiling mount, and a 15-foot Ethernet cable. The installation is fairly straightforward. Mount the camera 7.2 to 7.5 feet off the floor. Then tilt the camera down approximately 10 degrees. Mount the black body 13.1 feet away from the camera such that it faces the camera. The black body should be mounted at the same height as the camera. That's basically it. You can set the detection distance to be between 10 feet and 16 feet, but for the most optimal results, detection distance should be set to 13.1 feet, which is the same distance as the black body. So your setup could look like this. The horizontal field of view can be up to 9.7 feet, so you can measure more than one person across at a time. Here's a video showing the CMS software so you can get a feel for just how fast the system can work and how many people it can detect when properly set up. We will also take a closer look at the software using the setup we have at FPE Automation in a little bit. I also wanted to mention some installation gotchas. Again, this system is for indoor use only. When choosing a location to set this up, you want to ideally avoid sunlight, wind flow, air conditioners, hot objects, and reflective objects in the field of view. As the system detects skin temperature, some of these things can affect the results. You also want to mount it in an area where body temperatures have normalized from extreme outdoor temperatures. People should remove hats before they walk through as well, because it can block most of the face from the camera's top angle. The coverings such as face masks are fine. Setting up the camera in the software is straightforward as well. There's a quick start guide that goes through this in detail, but I wanted to give you a flavor for what it looks like and how it's done. We will use the built-in web interface to log into the camera by first opening Internet Explorer and entering the camera's IP address. We then click on the configuration tab, set a few parameters, and then we're all done. Let me show you how this works. Okay, so this is how we'll be able to connect to the web interface on the camera. We open up Internet Explorer and we type in the IP address of the camera. So the default IP address of the camera is 192.168.0.121. But I've changed the IP address of the FPE camera just to connect to the FPE network, and I've made it a bookmark so I can click on this. And so the IP address is just here, 172.16.372. So it opens up the web interface of the camera, and you can put in your username and password here, and that can be custom. And it opens up the web interface. So there's really two tabs we care about, the live video and configuration tab. We're in the live video tab right now, and looks like Lena is working. Lena, can you say hi? Yep, there's Lena. And so we can just go to the configuration tab here to set up our camera. Now we can set up our IP address of the camera by just clicking device and going to local network. And here are the IP configuration settings. But to set up the temperature measurement settings, all we need to do is click on a few parameters. So parameter configure is the first one. And here, if we scroll down, we can see that we can change the units from Celsius to Fahrenheit and from meters to feet. So the only settings we need to change are the ambient temperature, and that you can look up on your thermostat, for example. It's just the temperature in the room. So this is our temperature in Celsius, which I believe is 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And you also would set the mount distance. And now that's the distance between the camera and the detection area. So in our case, it's 4.11 meters because that's where people would be walking through this frame. Okay, and to set the detection area, all you need to do is left click the screen and it starts drawing a box. So you can make your box, right? And then you would right click to set it. We have one already set, so I won't mess with that. But essentially, when a face is detected in this box, that's when the facial recognition will happen, and it'll map a temperature to their face. And again, you can make this area, the detection area, up to 9.7 feet wide. Next, we click on thermal mapping. And all we're doing here is essentially mapping the 3D spatial area from the optical image to the thermal image so that they're both spatially reading the same thing. And the way you do that is by setting 3 points. You can get through this drop-down menu, point 1, point 2, and point 3. So for example, point 1 is this green cross here. We mapped it to the corner of this desk. You'll see that it's mapped here to the corner of the desk here. Say you wanted to choose the corner of this recycling bin, for example. I would click on this, and I click over here. Looks like a dog is entered the image. But I would do that for all 3 points. And a map here on the light, a light over here, and then the entryway of this door of this corner, you'll see that there's a blue cross here and a blue cross here as well. So we set those 3 points so that both images are spatially mapped. And the last thing we do is click on thermal calibration. And all we do here is we set the target temperature of the black body that's over here. And by default, the black body is set to 40 degrees Celsius. So we just kept that the same. And we do the distance from the camera to the black body. In this case, it's the same as our detection area, which is 4.11 meters. And we click apply, and we're all set. That's all we need to do to set up the camera. Now, if we go back to live video, we're actually be able to detect temperatures right now. So Lena, if you wouldn't mind walking through. So Lena's going to walk through. You can see that it's reading your temperature. And thank you, Lena. Awesome. And really, that's all there is to it as far as the web interface. The real power of this system, though, lies in the CMS software. It's not required. It provides many additional features compared to using just the web interface. The key functions are, of course, the temperature-related ones. This includes the temperature screening function, which gives you this tab over here. The temperature screening tab is the tab that will be open the most when using the software in the system. It's the one that can show both the optical and thermal images, as well as everyone's temperatures and the over-temperature alarms down here. The temperature functions also include the temperature config tab, where you can set up the low and high temperature thresholds, and temperature statistics tab, where you can track group or individual temperatures over time. The software also offers a few alarm options, including the real-time alarm tab, which gives you the current alarms, as well as the alarm record tab, which gives you a log of past alarms. As mentioned before, the software can do facial recognition. So, some handy tabs include the face search, where you can do a search for a particular face over time, as well as Face Library Manager tab, where you can group individuals, add extra information, or set custom settings for each person. The CMS software also has options for alarm mail, where you can set the system to send alarms to an email address. And the Devices tab lets you add multiple cameras to the system. One CMS software package can handle up to 64 cameras. Let's take a closer look at the CMS software now. So this is the CMS software, and this is the main menu. The splash page shows up with the common functions over here. Now these are the functions that I picked out of all the features, and I use this card management feature, which lets me filter down all these functions. So you have a lot of functionality, a ton of options here for things to do that you can set up. So I drill that down over here to common functions, and these are the functions that are typically used with the temperature monitoring system. So we click on temperature screening, and this is basically the main function that we use to get a live image, see the temperature records, and the over temperature snapshots. So what we want to do is go over to our sensor, right click it, and you can do play all devices. And what that does is load up a live stream of the optical image over here, as well as the thermal image over here. So this is kind of a nicer, cleaner look versus the web interface where you connect directly to the camera. This, again, software, the CMS software, is running on a PC. So in the upper left, we can see the temperature statistics where it keeps a running total of how many times it's taken a picture, and as well as how many times it's seen an over temperature condition. Down here is a device list. If we had more cameras, they would appear here on the list. We'll notice over here, we can see up to 64 streams at once if we need to with this one CMS software. On the upper right, it's a temperature record. This is where temperatures, all the screening records would populate with names, faces, temperatures, and timestamps. And down here is where the over temperature snapshots would be recorded. So let's see this in action. Okay, so we'll have some people walk through. Lena's going to walk through first, and as she walks through, you see the temperature record being populated. It says LE1, that's her name, because her face is registered in the face library. You'll see a timestamp as well as her temperature. There's a no mask alarm being generated because the system is recognizing that she is not wearing a mask. As far as repeatability, you'll see that it's measuring 97.3, 97.2, 97.3, so pretty repeatable. So now we're going to have a few more people join her as they walk through. So this is Paul and Samir from the ACD team as well. So you see as Paul walks through, he's actually looking down, so we do recommend looking straight ahead. He did register as a stranger there. Samir walked through, and it's screening for temperatures here. You'll see that they're not wearing masks, so you do see the no mask alarm showing up there as well. So we're going to try a couple different scenarios here. So Lena's walking through with a hat, and removing hats is recommended because, as you can see there, it did not pick up Lena. It was covering up too much of her face for it to be able to do an accurate measurement there. So you'll want to remove hats. Lena walked through there with glasses on, and it did pick her up with glasses on. It is, again, recommended for optimal performance to remove hats, glasses, scarves, things of that nature as you walk through. But it does pick up glasses pretty reliably. There's Samir, he's going there with the glasses. So now we'll have them walking through with the face masks on. So here comes Paul walking through with the face mask, and Samir with the face mask on now. So you'll see that they're being registered as strangers. That's because the face mask is covering up much of their face, so that'll make it a little bit harder on the facial recognition system, but as far as scanning temperatures, you'd still be able to do that. So they're just walking through now, kind of randomly putting on glasses, masks, or hats, just to kind of, again, get a flavor for the system. So they removed their masks, and now you can see the no mask error is showing up again, but it is measuring their temperatures here. So you see Paul had registered there's a stranger. It's because it picked him up as he walked from the side. You do want to walk straight through the system. And so you'll see there it picked him up as PB1 there, and picked Samir up as well. And kind of a final walkthrough without the glasses, kind of without any head stuff, so it's picking everything up pretty reliably. Now to show some over temperature examples, we're going to have Justin walk through, and we did not register him in the face library, so he's just showing up as a stranger right now, and you'll see that it says no mask. So in order to kind of simulate the overtemperature condition, we're having Justin hold up a cup of hot water as he walks through. So you'll see it's red in thermal image, and in the overtemperature snapshot, save those images as overtemperature, right? So it showed up as red. You'll see that the temperature is no longer green, showing him as red. And now he's going to walk through. We put the cup down, and he's just going to walk through without the cup, and his temperature is back to normal. So now we can go back to the main menu to show off some of the other functions. So we also have real-time alarm, and what that does, it shows all the current alarms in the system that have not been acknowledged. So we see a bunch of alarms here without masks, timestamps, etc. And if I click on this, for example, I can see who wasn't wearing a mask and at what time. I could also choose an alarm or choose all the alarms, click alarm processing, and hit confirm to clear those alarms for the day. If I go back to the main menu, I can look at the alarm record. And what this is essentially allows me to search all the alarms from the system. So if I wanted to see the overtemperature alarms, for example, I can use the drop-down menu and select overtemperature alarm. And I know Justin is the only one that generated the overtemperature alarm, so he wasn't registered, so I can use the drop-down menu to look for strangers, and then click the search. And then we'll see Justin show up and all the overtemperature conditions here. So if I go back to the main menu, we could also do a face search. And what that does is that allows me to look in the system to see all the faces that kind of pass through. So for example, I could pick my sensor, pick a date. So I can just pick a start date and an end date. So let's say I do that, click over there and do a search. And what's going to do is compile all the faces that kind of pass through. I could sort them by time. I can even sort them by similarity. So this is one of our sales guys, Cameron. I can click on him and I can add him to the face library by just clicking add, and then put in his initials here, for example. I can put him in a group, and I can say he's part of sales. I can give him an ID card, so 1, 2, 3, for example, and then you might want to add more pictures to kind of give the system some more robustness. Click save, and now he's in the face library, which I can show you here. So if I go to face library manager, what this does here is I can see all the names here. So if I click on Lena, I can see that I've registered her with a few different faces here. So you can do that and essentially create a library for your employees, so that when a stranger walks in, someone that's not the system doesn't recognize, you can give you an alarm for that as well. This is where you want to go to just configure the temperature. So essentially here, I can just say what my normal body temperature would be, the low end and the high end, and the system then will give you the over temperature if it's above, in this case, 99.1 degrees. So in a nutshell, this is what the software looks like. And again, it has a lot more power and functionality that is a bit more detailed in the user manual, but essentially these are the main functions that you'd be using here. We showed off the software taking a lot of temperatures, but I also wanted to do a system check, or if you will, a sanity check of the system by using a IR forehead scanner and comparing that to the system. Now, Lena took her temperature at her desk with the IR forehead scanner, and it read 97.2 degrees Fahrenheit. She's now going to walk through the FPE temperature screening system, and we'll see that it also reads 97.2 degrees Fahrenheit, as expected. We are at the end of the presentation, and we do want to add a disclaimer. The FPE body temperature screening system is one form of defense against the spread of human transmissible viruses, but it cannot be used to diagnose COVID-19 or detect individuals experiencing COVID-19 symptoms. Use of this technology offers a first-level screening to detect an increased body temperature of an individual. There is no way to detect an infected individual who doesn't have an elevated skin temperature. Only a licensed medical professional can determine if a person's skin temperature is indicative of an abnormal medical condition. So basically, the FPE temperature screening system can give you accurate temperature data, but what you do with that data is at your discretion. In summary, the FPE body temperature screening system combines both vision and thermal technologies to offer fast and accurate temperature measurements. The unique combination of both technologies allows for many features that traditional measurement systems cannot do, such as facial recognition, alarm history with saved images, temperature statistics for both groups and individuals, and many other functions. Hopefully, we showed that the system is easy to install and the software is easy to use. This is the end of the presentation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tom. As it says on your screen, we are now taking your questions. We do have, like I said earlier, 2 different methods for posting a question. You can post it in the Q&A or in the chat. Feel free to do so. I'll give you a minute because I know it takes a second or 2 to type your thoughts. In the meantime, does anyone else online, any of our other experts, or you, Tom, yourself, have anything else to add?
Hi, yeah, this is Tom. Just that the system, is obviously kind of different in the sense that, it can take multiple measurements at once. So I think, we've had the system installed at FPE for a bit, and I've been able to monitor it, remotely, for a while, and it's just neat that it kind of brings a level of normalcy where people. It's different times, obviously, but people aren't stopping, right? We're not necessarily having people stop to take temperatures. They can just walk through and go on with their day. And I think that to me seems like it's the best part of the system, that you can move, you can scan multiple people at once, and it brings a bit more level of normalcy, to these times right now.
Okay, I do see one question coming in from Paul. He's asking about the cost of one of these systems.
So so for the hardware, for the hardware part of the system, again, no PC, the cost is about $18,500. So that includes the camera and the black body, as well as the software and the mounting for the camera and black body.
Great, thanks, Tom. Okay, and we have one more question from Alan. He says, must the ambient temperature be reset as the actual ambient temperature varies? And he says non-conditioned entrance.
So yeah, we again recommend for the best performance, you're not going to want to put it so close to the entrance where you'll have the ambient temperature fluctuating like that. You're going to want to put it in a place where the ambient temperature is relatively constant. But with that said, we haven't really seen too much performance degradation as long as the ambient temperature is somewhere in the like 68 to 80 degrees, 78 degrees kind of temperature range. So even if it fluctuates, a bit there, we're still getting accurate readings. But you certainly don't want to put the system, somewhere where, it's the dead of winter and people are walking in freezing and you're taking their temperature right there. You want to allow for some time for their body temperature to normalize. And that will be true for not just our system, but any system that uses infrared. So if you had a forehead scanner, it'd be the same thing. It's taking skin temperature readings. It isn't taking core temperature readings. So the idea is, our system acts as a filter, right, to look for elevated temperatures, so that you don't have to take an individual temperature one person at a time. Especially with some kind of core temperature reading like a thermometer, which obviously takes a lot more time. This is a kind of fast filter, and then you can kind of drill down to maybe individuals that maybe need to get their temperature taken again, perhaps in a more formal way with thermometer or under the arm or in the ear.
And that is the same would be true for AC, Tom?
So the idea is that you don't want the AC on top of the person. Like, you don't want to put the AC right next to or you don't want to put the system right next to like an AC unit that's blasting cold air, where you're taking the temperature reading. So, you know, like in our building, the FPE building, where you had the kiosk, we wouldn't want to place that kiosk or where people are walking through the frame right next to, you know, a blowing air conditioner. But having air conditioning on is not a problem at all. Again, we just want the temperature, the ambient temperature, to be relatively constant. So somewhere between, again, 68 and 78 degrees or so.
Okay, excellent questions, everyone. I don't see any additional questions coming through, but there is an email address that appears up on your upper left-hand corner of your screen. It is acd@fpeautomation.com. ACD stands for Automation Controls Division. And if questions do come up, or you want to quote or further information, please feel free to reach out to Tom or the rest of the team using that email address. Oh, we just had one more come in. One last question, if everyone has time. Does the software sync with the database to load constituents, such as a student information at a school? And this is from Alex.
Okay, so yeah, there aren't any built-in hooks to talk to any particular database or security system per se, but yes, you can. So you can send discrete data. You can export the data as CSV files so that a database can import those files in that sense. So there are multiple methods to export data, you know, to other systems. There just aren't any, like, you know, the equivalent of drivers for other security systems or databases currently with this system. Does that make sense?
Yes, it absolutely does. And Alex, if that doesn't make sense, totally perfect sense to you, please, like I said, reach out. I'm going to wait just a second and make sure there are no further questions. And I'm also going to wait for that email address to reappear on the upper left-hand corner of the screen so everyone can see it. And there it is. And it's a good thing that we did wait, because we had one last question just come in from Alan. He says, beside the alarm exception screen, are there any alarm exception signals available at the kiosk?
I'm not exactly sure what that is asking. If the question is, are there alarms kind of on site, like near the camera? Yes, you can set up. You can use 2 alarm outputs to essentially set up whatever alarm you want. So whether that be something audible like a buzzer that you're going to wire up to the camera, or a stack light, or something that indicates, you know, there's a situation where you may want to take another temperature reading, you can certainly do that right there at the kiosk. So it's really whatever you want to plug into it. Something that takes like a discrete signal, and you could also on the software end, you can set up multiple alarms so that you know, you can get a signal on your screen, you get an audible alarm. You can even, there's kind of a voice translation where you can even have the system actually at the kiosk. If you put a speaker there, you can have it announce, hey, you know, this is your, you know, there's an over temperature situation. You can even say, like, welcome, you know, welcome customer, or whatever generic thing you want to type out. It would kind of come out as as audio, like a synthesized audio. But you get about a lot more, I guess, alarm options and alarm history and stuff available through the software itself.
So I've unmuted Alan, and I don't know if you want to weigh in, Alan. Did that answer your question? Maybe Alan stepped away, but I do have a couple other additional questions. How about using MS Azure?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
MS Azure, Microsoft Azure, how about using it? From Paul.
Microsoft, I have not. You might have to jot that question down because I've never heard of
Okay, I'll have a
Microsoft.
record of that and we can get back to Paul offline. Do we supply the kiosk?
So yeah, so we do have so FPE can offer that vention stand, and we're looking at hardware options to provide essentially some additional integration as well, including that a kiosk too. So I think we're putting a package together to do that as well.
Great, and I got a text back from Alan saying to our previous question, yes, thank you. So I think we answered that one. And then we've got from Paul, again, cloud computing and SQL. I think this was the MS Azure question. Looking to kind of get an idea of the compatibility with different systems, other software formats and platforms.
Yeah, so I think that goes back to the database question that was asked. Assuming
That's
SQL.
correct. Yes.
Yeah. So if was it Paul that asked? Was that Paul that asked that question? Yeah. So maybe we can go dig in that deeper with Paul offline. But essentially, what I was trying to say was there aren't any specific hooks for particular platforms. But with that said, we can offer discrete signals, to indicate that there's an alarm condition, et cetera, as well as offering like a CSV file that can be exported out for the database to, like a SQL database, for example, to import that CSV file and then bring that data into that system.
Great, Tom. Thank you. And Paul says yes, sure to your suggestion to have a conversation offline. And he says thank you.
Sure.
So great. Yeah, we'll go ahead and reach out to Paul. And I don't think there are any additional questions. Take one last look. With that, thank you everyone for attending today. Thank you very much. And feel free to reach out to Tom or the rest of the team if you need anything else. Be well and enjoy your 4th of July holiday weekend. Until next time, we'll be talking to you soon, hopefully. Take care.